welcome to Sistas in Sync. My name's Vanessa.
And I'm Asha.
And we're sisters from another mister.
Get ready for some serious fun as we dive into life's craziness.
Have deep discussions and explore the world together.
Get ready for some serious fun, laughs, insights, and a whole lot of sisterly love.
So, how have you been this week, Asha? How's your week been?
My week's been quite nice, actually. The week before, I was seriously ill with, like, a stomach bug. And I was in bed for, like, 3 weeks. So I think coming out after that, I don't know, I've just enjoyed this week.
Yeah.
Obviously being well. Like, when you're sick, you realise you just appreciate being, like, well.
Yeah.
More. And...
Wait, let me just check. It was 3 days, not 3 weeks, right?
Did I say 3 weeks?
Yeah, you said 3 weeks. I was like,
sorry,
girl.
no. I meant 3 days. I'm not that sick. And this week, I actually passed my 6-month probation in my work.
Yay! You're celebrating.
So, yeah, that was really nice. I wasn't worried, because usually in work... in previous like workplaces, when it gets to the 6 months, I'm just like, oh my god, am I doing okay? Like, yeah. I don't know, you just get that kind of anxiety. But I've just been really chill and calm in this job, and I actually really love it. So yeah, I wasn't really worried, and my manager was like, you're doing well, so keep carrying on, which is so nice to kind of get that positive reinforcement. So
I love that.
Yeah, I'm happy. That's what I can say, really.
That's great. Good news.
Yeah. How about you?
My week has been interesting. I think
tell me more.
Well, like on the topic of work, I've had a few incidences this week that really put into practice like all of the skills that I've kind of just learned. And maybe just a bit more reflective around some of my personal experiences.
Yeah.
Obviously, for those that don't know, I work with young people. I work in a local authority. I'm a career coach, which means obviously I work with lots of families as well, and their teenagers. And I just basically had a particular case this week that really just highlighted to me like mums and their daughters. Particularly.
Wow.
And made me really just remember about my relationship with my mum, and just made me reflect on how I was as a teenager. But yeah, I think when I was talking to a friend as well, it was like it kind of reignited maybe something like an interest that I've had for a while, and something that I wanted to explore, and it just made me think about it again. It's like going into counselling. Really? So yeah, it's just like bringing something back almost.
Yeah.
But other than that, yeah, it's been really chilled in between the craziness of work. I've just kind of just been going. I've just been busy going and moving.
You've been really busy. I haven't really seen you in the house at all.
Yeah.
Sometimes that could be a good thing, but other times it can be a bit, I don't know.
I feel like
on your energy.
Yeah, I think it's been a good busy. I don't feel like I've been
run off your feet and you can't catch up type thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just been like, oh, I have things to do and I'm just getting on with things, but I don't not feeling like overwhelmed or anything by it. So I'm having the energy for it. So it's just been good, yeah.
Nice.
I think I just like being busy, but I think that's because I'm a workaholic.
I didn't want to say anything, but I have noticed, like, when you're like, oh yeah, I've like been up at 8 o'clock, and then you're like, oh, I've just like finished at 7. I'm just like, and I haven't had lunch.
I know.
Like, girl.
Bad habits.
Die hard.
I know. Bad habits. But yeah, no, other than that, that's good. But I'm really glad to hear that you managed to pass your probation.
Yeah, it was nice.
And you feel like a lot more settled in this job and feel a lot calmer. I think that's
it's
really
like,
great.
I don't know about other people, but I've enjoyed my previous work, but this is the first job I've actually really enjoyed what I'm doing. I don't have hardly any complaints at all about it. And I don't know, I think that's kind of like rare in terms of like people actually like fully enjoying what they actually do.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
honestly, that's a blessing. If you like can go into work and you're like, okay, I actually enjoy what I'm doing.
Yeah.
That is an absolute blessing, because not many people get to that this early on in their life.
I'm happy to like get up and go to work. I'm actually happy. Like, I'm not a morning person. Getting up at 7 isn't easy for me. But I'm actually happy to wake up to go where I'm going, and I think that's quite important considering we're at work more than we're at home.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to actually enjoy what you're doing, where you spend the majority of your time.
100%.
So yeah, I love it.
Growth moment. Yes, love that. Did anything interesting that kind of like sprung up this like week that you kind of want to just talk about, I guess, since we're doing a podcast?
I think like I've been seeing lots of videos in terms of the monarchy. So that kind of connects with your family topic a little bit. So I've been seeing like lots of protests on TikTok and just different facts coming out about the monarchy, and how much money we actually do spend through the taxpayers' money on this institution to keep them alive. And it's not shocked me because I knew, but when I actually researched the figures, it hurt my stomach.
Really?
Yeah. Do you want me to read it?
It just reminds me, definitely, if you've got the figures, it would really be worth hearing about. I think I did see some of these videos as well, because it's literally just reminded me of a video that I seen just the other day. And someone mentioned that the monarchy, or the royal family, or individuals within the royal family, the amount of land they actually own within this country, and then also charge charities and hospital trusts to be able to have like properties within the land. Like, I think one video popped up. I don't know who the person was, but when that fact came up, I was like, this is wild. So you're telling me that a NHS trust is having to pay essentially thousands of pounds or millions of pounds in rent to the royal family, and this is the royal individuals, this is not the institution, because they own the land at the hospital or the trust.
It's the ambulances that they park on, I think. The ambulances that they park on, they're charging them to even park on their land.
Mad.
Like, that's how deep it is.
That's crazy.
And then Prince William or whatever.
And then we wonder why the NHS is like on its feet.
Yeah, they have the nerve to literally be like, oh, we're gonna like try and stop homelessness and all of these things. And it's like, you're harbouring in a lot of money which could help this situation that you're talking about, and that's what I think people are really pissed off about.
It's the actual detachment of reality, because I think you see King Charles, my apologies.
I'm not gonna lie, I don't even like saying Prince or King, but in my personal opinion, they're not. Like, I like to say William
and Charles.
Just say it by their names.
Whatever, like Charles, King Charles, whatever.
Yeah.
Obviously, he likes to present himself as a philanthropist, someone that's doing like good through all his charities and his trusts. And he's like, basically, I did see he's just opened a new food.
Got the Prince's Trust.
It's now rebranded King's Trust, which is for young people. Oh. And then now I've recently seen that he's just opened a food trust to help families who are struggling with food, or people that can't afford food. And I'm like, actually, if you stop charging rent for the land for these organizations, for these organizations to use the space to be able to help the people, your congregation, what subordinates, I don't know what they call it in English, the people that are below, living in the kingdom, maybe that money that they're spending on paying you can actually be put back into the trusts to actually help the people that need the most help, instead of new charities having to be created and money needed to fundraise. It's like, at this point, it's starting to look like it's a big old scheme of money laundering.
Yeah, but
It's just pushing it from one end to the other, but it's all going in the same pocket.
Do you think that we need the monarchy to survive? Does this society need the monarchy?
I'm sorry, I don't understand why the UK still has a monarchy.
Because
and this, I might be biased.
People ask, like debate and say, oh yeah, but they bring in lots of tourism
They don't.
and stuff like that.
I don't believe it.
The amount of money that they spend on renovations and stuff in the Buckingham Palace, but no one actually goes in the Buckingham Palace. Have you noticed that? If people actually toured around the Buckingham Palace, then it would make sense for them to renovate it. Keep renovations going, but the fact that people are just outside taking pictures, and no one's even going inside it, and you don't meet the royal family either. So how is this helping tourism? You can still have the building there as a historical thing, but you don't need to be putting money into it to do all of these renovations.
Because it's a closed building, no one can just walk into the Buckingham Palace. And that's, I think someone else was saying, that other countries where there has been a royal family, and like I think it's like Western, like Germany, like Austria, or I don't know. There's like Belgium. There's a royal family somewhere on that end of the world. But the way they've done it in terms of fitting the argument of they bring money in tourism is instead of them still having a certain amount of power or being funded by the public, they're not funded by the public. They have their own money. Yes, they're still figureheads, but the public spaces and stuff have become open for people to be able to go and tour, like as museums. So the historical effect is still there. The tourism can still come in, because that's what people are really interested in. Because I'm sorry, like, I think, and as soon as Elizabeth died, I think the royal family has lost its hype.
I think the Queen had, like, obviously Diana and stuff was very much for more the people, and she was connected to many different people around the world. And I think the Queen also did have some form of connections, like people in Jamaica love the Queen, and like other countries did as well. But I think now that the Queen has passed, I just think that there's no likable connections with the monarchy anymore. And I think people are starting to wake up and realize, wait, hold on a minute, like, I can see how much money is coming out of my paycheck, and they're starting to realize, wait, who is actually taking this money? Where is it going? And I think people have had enough. Like, people are struggling in this world. The UK is really struggling with so many different things, and I think people are starting to think, okay, what is actually necessary? Like, where is this money going, and what is actually necessary to be on? And I think people should do something. We should all do something.
I don't know what the solution is, but I 100% agree. I think the fact is, like, I don't mind paying tax if the tax was actually funding things that the public needs. But right now, what we're seeing is public needs being consistently met with amounts of cuts that they're struggling. Charities are having to step in to fill the potholes. How is this country filled with food banks? Everyone, like, and this is people who've got full-time jobs, so they're not earning enough money to be able to put food on their table and a roof over their heads and their home warm, because the economy has messed up that badly. Like, make it make sense. So where is the dream? Like, what people working for? Because the promise that we were told when we were in school was like, okay, get good grades, get your education, work hard, get your degree, go to work, and what am I seeing? I'm still living in a shared house, no offense, but in my 30s, like, I can't afford my own place, and I'm not on a bad salary either, but I'm single, so, like, what am I?
And we're not the only people, like, who are in those situations. Like, lots of people can connect with that in terms of, like, housing and stuff. Like, that's a luxury nowadays.
How is that a luxury when you've got grandparents that bought their 3-bedroom house for £50,000, and that's just at this stage in the economy that we're currently in, and I think maybe also the city that we're living in, £50 doesn't even get you the deposit for a 1-bedroom studio flat in the city.
I think, correct me if I'm wrong, sell it to my family, but I think my grandparents spent £5,000 on their house. And that's
Mad.
like a 5-bedroom house. Like, my granddad's like 90 now. So do the maths, but they kind of moved in when they were like 25, around that time. So like, if you just compare the difference of like housings and stuff like that, the prices, you'll be able to see like our salaries haven't gone up that dramatically, but house prices have. So yeah, that's literally the reason why, and that's crazy. But I think going back to like the monarchy, like I think that has like what we're paying for them, that has a massive contribution to like the circumstances that we're in, like so many different countries, and us, the people in the country, have to pay towards them. And I think it's crazy. Yeah. Personally, I want to give you the numbers. I want to give you no. I just want to say actually how much we are actually paying. So to renovate,
I don't think I'm ready for this. I think my soul will cry.
To renovate Buckingham Palace is 369 million. Yeah.
And wait, can we context, when was this happening?
So this is from so there's a contract from 2017 to 2024 to renovate the Buckingham Palace. So within those
through the
years.
Pandemic.
Yeah, through COVID, yeah. And then there's also a sovereign grant, which is a grant granted through the taxpayers' money for the royal family to go on like trips and like do like business kind of like things.
Where's my grant for me to go on my trips, please?
That. I would love a grant to go on holiday. Can I go Barbados?
Yeah,
or
I'll go
visit?
sit and look pretty and say, come to this country.
Just
if
say
you pay
hi.
me. Mad. Continue.
So there's a Soviet grant, and that is what's the numbers for this? Oh, it will increase to 132 million in 25-26.
For what? Oh, for inflation. For them to inflation, when they have the land and they have the properties, they have whatnot. They have public airplanes and boats and whatnot, and now we need our grant to reflect the inflation because you're poor.
I know.
I'm sorry, because you can't afford anything for yourself. So where is all the money that actually belongs to you, that is separate, your own personal wealth, going? Where is that going? What is it actually funding if you seem to be doing everything on the taxpayers' money? What offshore account do you have? Don't. This topic gets me so vexed.
This like, I
so angry because there's so much injustice in it, and I think the reason why I get so angry about it and so passionately angry about it is I'm seeing families
in front of our eyes,
in front of my eyes, struggling with the bare minimum, and they've seemed to have done everything right, everything according to the book, everything that they were supposed to do, and still are not catching a break.
Yeah.
The point is like what this has created, this disparity in like wealth and class. We're a generation, the millennials, we're one of the generations that are having the lowest birth rate and building families.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
Have you heard about that?
Yeah. They were saying fertility rate, and I didn't like that because it's not about the fertility. It's
we're
actually
choosing.
the choice. The birth rate is so low in this country because of such things like that.
Because we're choosing.
I would have loved to have a family right now, but no way.
My dream was by 27 for me to have 3 little kids, 4 little kids. Now I'm thinking, I'm lucky if I can afford a child. One.
I can't even afford a dog.
Literally, can't afford a pet. I can barely afford my rent. Can't even afford a car at this stage. Yeah, and I'm sat there like, where is my money going? Yeah. Like, where is literally my money going? I don't feel like I'm living a lavish lifestyle. I really don't feel like I am. And if one boomer tells me again to buy one less avocado as the solution, I'm going to slap someone across the face.
It's not actually what we're doing. We're not living lavish lifestyles. It's we're, the cost of food is so high, anyways.
Yeah.
It's for things like these, and I think that's why I like to highlight these types of things and kind of remind people, that there are reasons of why, we have to look deeper into these things and like come up with some form of solution to this crazy problem. Because I always say we as people have the power.
I think
we have the power, and I believe that 100%.
I do believe that. I think we need to learn how to come together again, though.
Yeah.
Despite our differences, and actually learn how to fight for a common cause without getting caught up in the differences and whatever our personal opinions are about someone and what they're doing and who they are and what they stand for. Like, I think there is certain topics, if we came together as a whole society, as the people, as the human race, not different ethnicities, not different classes or whatever, but actually learned how to come together as a human race. And it's possible because we've seen it in the pandemic. We've seen like how the going through a global crisis together has taught us that there is a possibility of us coming together as a human race. Yeah. How people were willing to help their neighbours, didn't care what their neighbours looked like.
People got to know their neighbours through that time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you can't tell me that it isn't possible, because there has been evidence of it that it is possible. Even through some of the most traumatic periods that we went through during the COVID. We went through civil rights movement as well, and there was all sorts of uproars, and we're still seeing the aftermath of it. But it's almost like we've kind of regressed again, and we've not even taken on the lessons.
I think we're tired.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, we're tired, so we need a little nap. And we need to come back.
Maybe we're just all burnt out as a society.
Yeah, we're burnt. I think we're burnt, and I think I think we understand that. But it's like when we wake up, what can we do?
Yeah.
What were you talking about when I was asking you about your week, about the family thing? So I think that kind of connects.
Yeah, so we're on the topic of family. So we talked about one of the most controversial families
majorly controversial
in the world. But I think for me, one thing my week kind of highlighted was it was really my relation, essentially the relationship of a mother and daughter, and the dynamic. How the dynamic can shift from being young to kind of going in through adolescence, because the more friends that I'm speaking to, they've all had periods where they couldn't stand being in the same room with their mothers at some point in their teenage life, or had a real struggle to get on the same page. And I think there was basically a situation this week that really just highlighted it. And I think it was almost...
Did it things come flooding back?
Yeah, the irony of it, though, was... the thing that made me almost laugh in my head was I was sat in this room watching, basically mediating a mother and a teenage daughter. And 100% could relate with the daughter, because that was me. Yeah. The argument was Mum don't understand me, she doesn't know, it's why are you so strict, all of those kind of things. And the mother, and then but also I found myself realizing I'm actually I can relate to the mother as well.
How do you deal with that situation though, being in that situation, having to kind of try and diffuse even in that
God, I was making it up as I go along, because I had no training in this. 100%. Because this is not that this
you gotta think on your feet.
Honestly, I had to just pull on personal experience, because there wasn't any training. I'm not a social worker. That's not my job role, that's not what I'm trained in, but it ended up being a social worker / counselling kind of situation.
Yeah.
And I literally just had to pull on all of my experience of being doing youth, my own personal experience, having grown as well, but learning how to have healthier conversations. And then just figuring out the balance of the making sure that each party was kind of heard. But it was hard. But I think the topic it just highlighted to me, like I feel like we all have a story with our mothers
I think
growing up.
Yeah.
So my question to you then is like, growing up, like, how was your relationship with your mother? Like, when you kind of changed from being like just a kid to going into becoming a teenager, like, do you remember the change? Do you remember a time before and then after?
I think my teenage years were quite difficult. I think I do remember from being younger, so from like primary school, and then obviously going into secondary school. First in the primary school years, I don't know. I had such kind of, from what I remember, I don't remember a lot. I actually don't remember a lot from like my relationship with my mother in primary school. But I think it was happy. Like, I think it was happy. It was fun. Like, I don't really remember anything like controversial or anything like negative happening. But I think in secondary school years, just you within yourself, lots of things just become a little bit more complicated. And I think growing up in a house where I had to share it with my sister, we kind of felt like we were on top of each other. I think those types of elements can really affect a relationship with your family, because those, arguments would happen more. And I think then I think your teenage years is quite a time that you remember. I think the teenage years, and I think when the hard times happen in those times, that's the memory that kind of goes back to you. So I think my teenage years were quite hard with my mum. We did have arguments. I had arguments with my sister, and I think it did affect our relationship and how we viewed each other. But yeah, I think it affected our relationship and how we were. And I think I feel we're rebuilding that now.
Yeah.
And I think there was when there's such high situations that happen, I think it's just makes everything more exaggerated. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah. I think it's because like it's heightened emotions, isn't it? Like you're like, you as the teenager, you're going through like hormonal changes. So you're growing up.
Yeah.
As women in itself, like the hormonal roller coaster we go through as well, is like, it's mad, isn't it? And I think that also plays like a massive part in how we approach relationships and how we even like conflict, like resolve conflict, and how we interpretate like certain situations. Obviously I'm seeing that as well, like with just being around teenagers a lot and seeing them go through puberty. But there's definitely a difference between boys going through puberty and girls going through puberty and how they handle.
I don't know. I grew up with like all sisters, so I didn't really grow up with any brothers. So what is the difference?
So I think for me, what I've noticed,
you've got two brothers and I've got two sisters. That's kind of the difference between us.
See, the thing is, it's like, so I think sometimes I think back of it and I wish like I had a sister growing up.
See, I feel like I wish I had a brother. Let's swap.
The reason why is because I felt very I think because love my mum. Absolutely love my mum. Like, there's no doubt that I love my mum.
Yeah, I think we can all say that we love our mums even if we have had issues there, you know?
But that woman has the ability to push all my buttons and she has the trigger. So most of my friends know me to be quite... I'm passionate about things, but I'm not someone that kind of gets angry at people or gets violent with individuals, you know. I tend to really go away and deal with my own personal emotions before I like tackle a topic, like an issue. I don't have screaming matches with people. I'm not someone that kind of gets into fights either. I'm someone that always looks to resolve an issue. Now, if you've seen me grow up and watched me and my mum fight, you'd be like, that's not the Vanessa that I know.
No, seriously, I was exactly the same. Exactly the same. I would love to, like, not love, but I would love to have like a film or a video of just how it was.
Yeah. Because we would get into some such heated screaming matches, like full on, you know, where I'm like, people probably on the outside was like, what is this? This is mad. And I think what it was, and the older I'm getting and maturing and having to even like diffuse similar situations is that dynamic where you know, your parent might not be willing to let you go because they're realizing that you're growing up, but they're not ready for that fact. Number two, I think a lot with mums and their daughters is if they have own personal anxieties and fears, when they see their daughters grow up, they often project that onto their daughters during this like developmental like stages. And the daughters usually end up feeling like my mother doesn't understand me or is being unfair and is not listening, because as a teenager you're learning to formulate your own voice, your own opinion. I don't know how it was for you, but I think the biggest trigger for me was I've never felt understood by my mother.
That's exactly the same.
You know?
Like, that was the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Like, and I would always feel like I wasn't able to voice. And this is why I do like podcasts now, because I felt like I've never been able to be understood and my voice was never heard. And I think, that's very powerful and sad thing for a child to feel, in a way, to not feel understood.
Yeah.
But I also want to highlight, like, my situation. My mum was a single mum.
Same.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think that also, the lack of support in terms of a parent could not always feel like knowing what to do, not have that support around them, and they're just kind of surviving and going with of what they think, and in that survival mode. So that's also another reason of how arguments can come into play as well. But go back to your...
I think it's just like there is definitely a dynamic that shifts, especially if you're coming from a 2-parent household and coming from a 1-parent household. And I think the bigger discussion around this is just like, why is, like, do we give women like enough credit, and mothers particularly enough credit, with all the stuff that they're having to deal with, especially when they're being faced as being single parents? Because 9 times out of 10 the mother ends up being responsible for the children if a relationship breaks down, and they're the ones that are expected to kind of predominantly be the main caregiver and raiser of those children. And I think it does create like an extra level of pressure.